Nobody noticed her when she walked into class each day. No one ever called her name during lunch or group projects. If she vanished tomorrow, most students wouldn't even remember her face. Her name was Zoya, the quiet girl who sat in the second last row, always wearing oversized hoodies, scribbling poetry in the corners of her notebooks. But that morning, the silence she carried turned into something else. It started like any other school day. The bell rang. Students trickled into class half awake, tossing jokes, passing snacks, waiting for the teacher. Zoya entered quietly, arms folded around her books, head slightly down. She wore a simple checkered shirt, frayed at the sleeves, likely handed down more times than she could count. No one paid attention, except for 3 boys in the back. Aman, the loudest one, had failed the same grade twice. He thrived on attention, the kind that came from humiliating others. His friends followed like shadows. Weak boys who laughed not because things were funny, but because they were scared to be next. As Zoya walked by their row, Aman muttered something under his breath. She didn't stop. He said it louder. This time, a comment about her clothes. Laughter erupted. Zoya's step faltered, but she didn't look back. That triggered something in Aman. He jumped up, strode toward her before she could sit down, and in front of the entire class, he grabbed the back of her shirt and ripped it, a loud, violent tear that echoed through the stunned room. Her shoulder was exposed, and the sound alone was enough to make time freeze. For a moment, Zoya just stood there. Her books had fallen to the floor. Gasps filled the room. Even the teacher hadn't arrived yet. No one moved. No one spoke. Some looked down. Some looked away. But no one helped. Zoya didn't cry. She slowly knelt, picked up her books one by one, her exposed skin burning not from shame, but from something deeper, fury. Her fingers trembled, not from fear, but restraint. Aman smirked. Relax, it's just a joke. She didn't reply. Instead, she stood up, turned around, and stared at him. It wasn't a loud scream, or a meltdown. It wasn't a begging look or a soft sob. It was silence, the kind that punches harder than any words. And then, without breaking eye contact, she walked to the teacher's desk, raised her foot, and kicked the heavy wooden desk so hard it flipped halfway across the front of the class. The crash was deafening. Every mouth shut. Every whisper died. The air grew thick. Aman stumbled back, his smirk wiped off like dust. No one had ever seen her like this. No one had ever expected anything at all from the quiet girl, and now here she was, her voice still locked, but her power louder than the room had ever heard. Zoya turned and looked directly at the boy who tore her shirt. "You think silence is weakness," she said. Her voice was calm, but sharp like glass. "You have no idea how strong I've had to be just to survive." The teacher finally rushed in, shocked at the scene. Zoya didn't flinch. She calmly walked past the scattered desk, straight to the principal's office. Not to hide. But to report everything. That was the day the silence ended. What followed wasn't easy. There were meetings. Parents called in. At first, the administration was hesitant to act, but then came the voices. Other girls. Other students. Stories came out. Stories that had stayed quiet out of fear, embarrassment, or the belief that no one would care. Zoya's act had broken that belief. The school suspended Aman and his friends for weeks. Counseling was introduced. Teachers were retrained. But more importantly, students learned that silence is not consent. That the quiet ones carry storms inside them, waiting, not to explode, but to stand. Zoya didn't become the most popular girl after that. She didn't have a makeover. She didn't start dressing differently or hanging with the cool kids. But she walked taller. People made space for her now, not out of fear, but respect. And when she spoke, even if just a few words, people listened. In time, Zoya joined the school's writing club. She began sharing the poetry she used to hide. Her words carried pain, yes, but also power. Her poems were no longer confined to the corners of notebooks, they were read aloud at assemblies, posted on hallway walls, printed in the school paper. One day, a younger girl came up to her after class, voice shaking. I used to feel invisible too, she said. Zoya smiled gently. You're not, she replied. We just have to teach people how to see. The message of her story: power doesn't always roar. Sometimes it walks silently, waiting for the right moment to stand up, to speak, or even to kick a desk across the room. Because dignity isn't something others can take, it's something you decide to protect. And Zoya. She didn't just protect hers, she showed others how to reclaim theirs too.